In this episode, we're talking about a ton of new indie games, all about managing that RNG, plus a bunch more on this episode of Indie Game Arcade. Welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast that deep dives into the latest and greatest indie games. I'm your roguelike deck-building dad. My name's Chris.
And I'm your one-turn tactician. I'm Joseph.
That's a hint for one of the games we're going to be talking about in a little bit. If you haven't figured that out yet, that's a pretty hard hint. The hardest of hints.
Yeah,
right?
That's almost a direct just pull of the title.
Yeah, you basically are just like, here's the title of the game. And also me. Hello.
Yep.
I was kind of like worried when I first started trying to figure out what games are coming out this week because I felt like it was a really light week and I started playing a whole bunch. There's a few that I would get into and then I kept falling off of certain ones. And I'm like, I don't want to bring this one forward. I don't want to bring this one forward. I started playing one and I was like, I kind of like this, but I'm very suspicious of this artwork. And then I looked at some a little further and I'm like, no, this is totally AI. And I go and look at their Steam page. I'm going to call this out real quick. Maybe I won't name the name, just so they don't get any credit for this. But on their Steam page, they were like, we used OpenAI for some of the text and stuff, but we did not use any generative art. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is the most generative AI art stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah, I know exactly what game you're talking about. I won't say the name of it, but I looked at it after you sent me that and I was like, oh yeah, this is if I asked ChatGPT to make me generic game models, this is exactly what it would make me.
Right. And where the cards are way too thin, where it's just the perspective is completely crushed. There's weird artifacts and all of the characters'
and everything
faces.
has that hard, dark shadow to it in a weird way.
Yeah. With the every character has the oval eyes that for some reason ChatGPT is so fond of,
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
I was
ChatGPT wants to make every game a terrible mobile game from the early 2010s. Yeah.
Oh, God. It's so obnoxious. Anyway, so we're not going to talk about that game today, but we are going to talk about a whole bunch of cool games made by cool people and not by robots, not by Skynet. How dare you?
It is funny that when I am looking at a game now, even if I'm just looking at do I want to even try this game? The first thing I have to do is scroll down to the bottom. It's all right, am I seeing AI? Or am I seeing AI warning thing? If I see the mature content description, if I'm flipping too fast, sometimes I'm afraid that's AI because it looks kind of the same text wise. But then I see it's mature content. I'm like, oh, thank God.
This is mature.
Fine. Blood, gore, whatever.
Yay.
Woo, that's fine.
Yeah. Nudity?
That's preferable even.
Oh, thank God.
The more the better.
Speaking of mature content, let's go ahead and start with The Fortress.
New game!
One of many we both played this week. This was developed
a lot
by
of crossover this week.
Yeah, Baryonyx Games and published by Baryonyx Games with help from Stratos Gaming. This is a dark fantasy dungeon crawler with turn-based combat using dice, mixing strategy and risk. So you choose your class, jump into these chambers, roll those dice, and fight brutal enemies, grab and loot, and continuing on your way. The first thing that stood out to me right off the bat, and I'm going to assume stood out to you too, is the art style of this thing.
Yes.
Which is so cool. And I love it, especially too, because you can tell that what they did was they got very creative on what I'm going to assume is a pretty limited budget, because I can tell from some of it is not all of this, because some of this I think is probably, maybe some of it's been designed. Some of it might be images or video of friends of theirs or something in costume and then turned into that dithery kind of GIF look. But some of it's obviously like stock video of like a rat or like a dog and then kind of like, doctored up to look more menacing and stuff and then turned into that, just slightly twitchy looking GIF. And it looks so awesome how they did that. And I'm just like I don't know. I just want to give praise to that for being so creative with what they had. I really like that.
Yeah, this is the kind of best way to make like a very, very simple sort of animation style and even gameplay style super appealing because it works so well together and it really fits the theme of what it's doing. So it's like, as simple as it is, I spent like a pretty good amount of time with just the demo.
Same.
Just to see if I could beat it, because like it didn't ever feel like it was getting like repetitive to me or anything. It was just like, all right, I know I can do this. Let me just try. And a lot of it is going to be RNG, of course, because it's literally like a dice rolling game. But there's like, it's strategy light in that you got to kind of pick your poison as far as like, okay, I need to equip this equipment. I need to give myself more chance of shielding, or I just need to go all in and try to get as high damage as I can. So it's like just figuring out if you want to be like really how you want to plan your build. And this is, of course, the demo. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to it once the actual game is released. And I just had so much fun with it with such a simple concept. And, there's a lot of games, not like this, but there's a lot of like really simple games, sometimes like, even graphically more simple than this that I've enjoyed in the past. So
yeah,
it's I'm no stranger to like simple looking games just really taking a lot of time away from me because the gameplay loop is just so enjoyable.
I like that it's kind of that first person perspective too, instead of doing sort of the Slay the Spire look that we're kind of really used to with these kinds of games. Like, I think the obvious comparison for this is Darkest Dungeon as far as, you are choosing...
Well, as far as you being in a dark dungeon.
Being in a dark dungeon, moving through, battling things, but you're looking at things like directly on instead of like, having your character like off to the side with, a line of enemies and stuff like that. And what's cool too is like different dice align to different types of damage. So like certain enemies will have like certain color like markers underneath them. So it's like maybe I roll so many on my red die, like a 3 or something. And it's like, okay, I can do 3 damage with red. But if like those enemies don't have red markers, then I can't use that die to damage them. But I love the simplicity for not wasting that, which is that any die that you don't use will then be utilized to go to your spirit meter and start building up like a special attack that does a crap ton of damage once that hits all the way to the top. So like nothing really feels wasted.
No, that special is worth saving sometimes. Like do not waste it on a single enemy because you can really wipe a whole board with it.
Yeah, there's definitely been times where like I would have it and walk into a situation where like I don't have a lot of health left, but I do have my special. I'm going to use it now. And then I just one-shot the room. And then I'm like, okay, good. I can move on and hopefully get some health in the next room. And then I do, and I'm fine. So
yeah, that's where the RNG really comes in, where it's like, okay, please let the next room be a room where I can at least get some bread, just like a small crumb of bread so I can get 1 health back. Just give me something. But sometimes it's not that nice to you.
The part that makes the RNG difficult is because on some of these die, there are blank sides. So that's not as evident really with the like fighter. He does have them, but like they're you pretty much just on like one side of each die. But when you go to some of the other characters like the sorcerer or the assassin, they have a lot more emphasis on like a very specific type of damage. And then the other types of damage, they are less proficient in, so they have more blank sides. It's more probable that those blank sides will pop up with them, which could leave you in a very tight spot more often than not. So like that's where like that RNG can really get to you sometimes if you aren't like really paying attention to like what kind of things you're slotting into your equipment, if they're gonna like balance things out. Like putting those shields in to replace a blank side definitely could be helpful. The one thing I would say that I would like to see more, I would assume we're going to see more, is more variety in that kind of stuff. Because really you're only seeing, at least in the demo so far, you're only seeing either the items that will grant a shield on those, or you're seeing something that will increase the damage on one of those. But I haven't really seen anything else so far. I don't know if you ran into anything, but I sure didn't.
No, it's really like you get two choices as far as like the equipment you are equipping. That's why like I assume that there's going to be a lot more to that, because even the artifacts, like the white dice you can equip, which you have to if you want to get through this thing, in my experience anyway. Like I beat the demo, but it still took me a few tries. First of all, because I didn't realize I needed to equip that thing every time, because it doesn't
that
start.
Happened to me too.
It doesn't start equipped on you, that hourglass or whatever it is, and so you have to manually equip it as you choose your character, and you will get an extra 3 or 4-sided dice, but it's really only maybe 2 sides. I think 2 of the sides are blank. I don't know exactly, but like. It's not very much, but it's enough sometimes, because it's also a universal dice that you can use to hit anything.
Yes.
Instead of having to just specifically choose one color with it. So that was super helpful in getting me through. But to your point, there's got to be more to it. There's also like you see on the starting screen that there's like 4 other like unlockable like bosses, I guess. I don't know if those are like in bosses or whatever. Yeah. And then on the like relic screen, there's at least like 5 other relics there. You only start with the 1 unlocked, at least in the demo. So I'm curious to see like what kind of variety there is to it. I would assume it's not just those, either add an extra point or like upgrade one of your dice, or just like add a shield to the blank. Like I just went all in on the shields though, because like you have to defend yourself or you will get crushed.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way. And I think there's at least 6 other classes that are going to be available as well. Like there is definitely room for those. So
nice. Yeah.
Seems like there's going to be quite a bit. I was like literally looking at it and trying to guess what they were going to be. Like I was seeing like a Morningstar, and I'm like, okay, I bet that's going to be some kind of cleric. I saw like 2 axes, and I'm like, that's got to be like some sort of berserker or, barbarian or something. Because it does seem like they're really sticking to like sort of those classic D&D style tropes with this, which I really like. Like it's exactly what it should be when it comes to that, because it kind of feels that way. So very much enjoying this. Very interested to see what else comes out of it for sure.
I don't know that it has a release date yet, like a set one.
It was supposed to come out this week, and then I think it got pushed back. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I thought I remembered seeing it was this week, and now I'm looking at this screen and it's like coming soon.
Today,
like,
I'm looking right now, and now it says coming soon. But literally, actually, it was supposed to come out today. And when I say today, I'm meaning the 15th. So maybe it will be out by the time the episode comes out. I hope so. I know that happens every once in a while, like when it gets close to like a release. For some reason, I have seen this happen with other games before. Don't know the circumstance. I hope it's nothing bad. Hopefully this game comes out. So
yeah, hopefully it was just one of those things where it's like with the demo release, they found some kind of like game breaking bug that they're having to tend to, or something to at least like make the user experience better, and not anything treacherous or like, oh no, it was all AI. I really hope not. I don't think so.
Yeah, no. It definitely doesn't look AI for sure.
No.
Yeah.
I'm seeing here on the page, it says like more than 60 items, relics, and gear items. So I think our fears are washed away with that.
There we go. That sounds good. I like that. Hey, let's move on to our next game, which is Carnedge. This was developed and published by One Shark, releases on January 19th of 2026. Barring anything weird happening, of course, like just did a Fortress. This is a dark fantasy RPG where you drag the eternal flame across the dying world, build deadly decks, summon weird allies, and fight through twisted dungeons full of enemies that hate your guts and watch chaos unfold. This is another game that, just like the one before it, where I don't know about you, the very first thing that stood out to me, once again, was the art and the design of it. And that is actually what even got this on my radar in the first place. I had seen this a couple of weeks ago, that it was just one of those ones when I was just like, what's coming out in the month of January? Saw some of the artwork for this, and I was like, oh, this looks sick. I want to try this out. I loved this very arcadey kind of look and feel to it. And I gotta say, this is gonna be the weirdest poll ever. It reminds me of this little weird dude from a game show from like the 1970s. Do you know the show Press Your Luck?
Yeah.
The little
wait,
no whammies guy, the little red guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Come on, big bucks, no whammies.
Yeah. Like no whammies. Stop. Yeah. So you think about the little whammy guy and how he's designed. Like, for whatever reason, his design, like this game, that was the very first link my mind went to, seeing some of the creature designs in this. I'm like, it makes me think of the no whammies guy. I don't know why. What a weird poll.
I hadn't thought about that guy in forever. I guess I could see it, but the no whammies guy is kind of a monster, isn't he?
He's a tiny little like devil guy.
Okay.
But like I think it's just there's something about the art style that's just similar.
Yeah. You know, the first thought that I got when I saw it was Ogre Battle 64.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And I think it's just because of the stylization of this. It doesn't look like, Nintendo 64 graphics at all. Like, this is a lot more cartoonish, but I think it's the stylization of it and the fact that it is an auto battler. And the way the characters are positioned and everything was just kind of giving me that feeling. For anybody who's ever played that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, how do you feel about the gameplay of this? Because the gameplay was very different than, it is an auto battler and it has elements of things that we've played before, but like it just feels very different than anything I feel like I've played before.
I felt confused at first.
Okay. Yes.
Even after, I played this for definitely over an hour trying to beat the thing because it went longer than I expected it to. And so I just kept going with it. I essentially played a whole run of this game, which I don't even think is a whole run. It just felt like it because of all the retries I had to do. Because it is like you're not starting over from the very beginning. You're just kind of unlocking sections of it. And so the way that it's set up is you go in, you auto battle. The first time you do it, you're probably going to die like instantly. So that's where I was like, okay, am I supposed to do something? What am I doing wrong? Do I click something? And I thought that it told me at one point that I could click an enemy if there's a blue bar and it would stop them or interrupt them or something. I cannot confirm. I can't confirm that for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I was struggling with that a little bit too. And so from what I understand...
Man, did I click? I was clicking my heart out, but I don't know if I was doing anything.
So from what I understand with that, what that is about is there are some enemies that will have this bar that'll pop up above when they're doing like winding up for a big spell or a big attack. And you can try to click on them to cancel it. However, it's not a pure cancel; it's a chance to cancel. So it's not like a 1-for-1. And there's like different color ones, and so the green ones are like heals. I don't know what the yellow ones
are when they're summoning minions.
Okay, that's right. So like it's not always gonna work. Basically, unless you were just spam clicking. Yeah,
I mean, I was trying to because I was like, "What? I know I have to do something. I know it told me something."
But when you get to that end boss, like, there's no way you can't cancel that stuff because it's like 60 guys all doing stuff at the same time. Let's explain. Well, how about you explain? Because you were much better at explaining mechanics. But real quick, just explain how the mechanics of this function, like when you were in a battle.
Okay. So when you're in a battle, you're auto attacking at a certain rate, depending on what your speed is. And you have this bar at the bottom that charges up. And when it comes to a stop, actually, like at the beginning, you're choosing one item out of your either the default items or the ones you have set up. You can set up at the top. You can equip these items that will pop up in your as part of your like default sort of deck, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, like a deck.
So you're choosing that, and that could be something from like, okay, I'm going to summon a little heart guy who heals me every like 5 seconds for 2 health. There's a little shield guy who gives me plus 10% defense, and those things stay out as long as they're not like minions of yours that have health bars, in which case they can and will be killed by the enemies. Yeah. But as that bar charges up, then you click another one. And those are kind of random as far, I think like 3 are choosable at a time, 3 or 4, I don't remember. And you pick that, and then that just becomes part of your, battlefield, like whether it's an ally or just some kind of like supplemental effect. And then the entire time you're attacking, sometimes you somehow do like multiple of the same attacks at the same time, and these little like fire things start appearing under your character. You start kind of getting a combo going.
Yeah, it becomes like a multiplier.
Yeah, and I don't know that you can affect that in any way.
I don't think so.
It just kind of was happening, and I was like grateful when it did, because you kill them real fast when it happens, but it also seems to just cancel out of nowhere. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm messed up, or my guy did. And then yeah, so you're kind of just at the mercy of the game in that way. But the more equipment that you get, that's when you really start like building it out. As with like any kind of auto battler, like a lot of it comes down to what kind of equipment you have, like what your setup is. Like, okay, I'm going to make sure I really push into magic damage, for instance, because that is what affects the amount of damage my allies are doing. Because you get this one like slot of your inventory that's like a permanent ally who's by your side. And then there are other allies you can summon in your like inventory slots up at the top as part of your like deck.
Yeah.
And so those are all using magic damage to attack the enemies as well. And so that's where, okay, I'm going to rely more on allies, and I'm just going to really shield myself, or I'm going to rely on my own hits, and I'm going to increase my attack damage, my health, et cetera, et cetera. So there are different kind of like quote unquote builds you can do. And that's where it starts to become, for me, it became really fun, because I was like, okay, let me strategize around this. What am I experiencing? What's working? What's not? And I was eventually able to beat it, but it was very challenging to get to that point. Although now with the knowledge that I have, I feel like if I started the game, when this game comes out, and I probably will pick it up because I did really enjoy it, if I started fresh, I would know kind of the route that I was going to take, at least to approach this like first like big boss. I know there's more after this. I don't know what, but within the confines of the demo, I think it gives you a really good sample platter of what you're going to experience throughout the game.
Yeah, this is a game too that because of what it is, there are times where it does feel like you are just heavily at the mercy of RNG, especially because like I think you were starting that thought at the beginning, and then I think we shifted gears. But like when that bar gets all the way across, then you're basically like little cards pop up towards the right, and what it's doing is it's pulling from your like deck, quote unquote. And those are some of those things that you've been collecting, like maybe some of those allies or some of those spell cards and stuff. And you're choosing one. You have to choose one really quick. And really, that RNG is really kicking in there, because like maybe your build is really geared towards, let's say, like magic damage or something. But like maybe you're not getting your ally cards at that moment when you really need it. And then you're like, oh man, this sucks, because like there's nothing you can do about it in that moment, you know? So
when I was
just, like, at the mercy.
When I was on the last level area, that's what took the longest, because I knew from the first hand if I was going to be able to win that battle, and I would restart the battle if I didn't get one of my wizard allies in my deck, because I was like, I'm going to get crushed like immediately. I was all like, I had like 13 health, but I had like 112 shields, but I don't have a way of regenerating my shields. So I'm so reliant on the allies to soak up damage for me, because I had so much magic damage. My wizards had like 70 health, so they were just little damage sponges. But it also becomes like, okay, now I have to really hope that the enemies focus on my allies. And that comes down to like probability. And it's like, okay, the more allies that I have out, the more chance they're not going to hit me. So I just need to put out all these damage sponges so I can just be doing my damage and the wizards can absorb that for me. And that's where it became like kind of okay, I'm thinking through this. I'm strategizing. Here's my plan. Is it always going to work? No. But when it does, it works well. And it was really fun to go through.
It did have like we said at the beginning, a huge difficulty spike at the last boss. Like the biggest difficulty spike I think I've ever seen. Oh my God. Because like I went through like this one run I was doing where like I'm affectionately calling my Rat King run, where I was king of the rats.
Did you have a ton of rats?
I had so many rats. That's what I was doing. I just built up all this magic damage. I was just summoning all these rats, and the rats were doing all the damage for me as they like, I don't know, did their magical spitballs of whatever. And dude, I was blazing through everything with that. And then I get to that last boss, and like, it does not matter. As soon as I put a rat out, he just one-shots that rat and it's gone. And my whole plan just fell apart before my eyes. So I was like,
the last boss was like, he was kind of like Ganondorf.
The big tree guy? Well, his name was like
No.
Oh, which one?
No, that wasn't the last boss that you
That's
fought.
not even the last boss. Are you kidding?
That was like that was like the mid boss.
Oh my God.
You got halfway through.
His name, what was his name too? It was like Big Thick Daddy or something.
Yeah, it was. It was like Stick Daddy or Big Stick Daddy or something.
I think it was literally thick. It was like, Thick Daddy.
Maybe it was Thick Daddy. Yeah,
man.
But
it's
that's
Big
not the last
Thick
boss.
Daddy.
That's even better.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now I feel even worse because I got to that guy and like.
Okay. Yeah. You
fell
know what?
apart.
I assumed that was the last boss also, but then it opened up more. That's why I was saying it was longer than I expected it to be.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was one of those cases where I'm like, okay, do I start completely over and try again? Or do I go back and like grind like the previous levels again? You know, get more shells to sell and then upgrade my gear and, you know, try a different build.
Yeah.
Then I was like, no, I'm just gonna move on for now.
Your currency is like Mario green Koopa shells.
Yeah, it's great.
Basically.
I love that. Again, feels very arcadey in that way, and I love that.
I think this game is for a specific type of person.
Yeah.
I am that type of person. Okay, going back to like previous years, me who didn't know and didn't appreciate auto battlers.
Yeah.
Now, like last year, me was getting heavy into them, and this year, me understands like their place in my life, and how like if I just want to be able to like set something up and watch the magic happen, that's what an auto battler does for me. And this is definitely the case with this game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was way better than I thought it was going to be at the get-go. Because like the first like few minutes I started playing, I was like, what the heck is this? I did not care for it. I think I quit the game and I was like, I'm going to come back to it later. Then I did, and I was glad I did.
Well, dude, like you're the one who introduced me to it. I didn't know about this game at all. And you're like, hey, try this game out. And I was like, all right, I guess. And like you, when I first like started it, I was like, I don't know, like what is even happening? And then I just got sucked into it. And I'm telling you, like after you beat that tree boss, it gets harder and harder. And you will either, it's either going to like make you quit the game forever, or you're going to press on and be like, yes, this is my shit for sure.
Okay. I've got to kill Big Thick Daddy.
You got to kill Thick Daddy.
I got to take that Thick Daddy out, you know?
Absolutely.
Power up!
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor and throw us a like, a follow, share the episode of the podcast with folks who love indie games so we can get more of these game recommendations out there and support indie game devs. We also have a YouTube channel over at youtube.com/nerdsloth where you can catch us playing more indie games or check out our top 5 or top 10 series for even more indie game recommendations because we believe there's an indie game out there for everyone.
Get ready!
Let's keep talking about some indie games. Let's keep going.
Hold on. Before we move on,
Uh-oh.
I just confirmed his name was Big Thick Papa.
Big Thick Papa. I thought it was Daddy.
I saw his name in a screenshot just now.
Okay.
And I was like, okay.
Is that
Big
even
Thick
like
Papa?
That's like the same thing though. That's like
It is the same thing, but it's like Papa sounds even worse than Daddy in that term.
Well, here's the thing. No, I'm looking at another screenshot and it says Daddy.
maybe he had different versions.
Yeah.
Maybe Big Thick Papa is like the advanced version, the elite version.
Ooh. His evolution is Papa.
Yeah. Oh, what a game. Okay,
What a
I'll move
weird
on.
game.
We'll stop talking about Big Thick Daddies and Papas.
Hey, let's keep talking about indie games that we played this week. We're going to talk about One Turn Kill. This was one that I had on my radar that I wanted you to play, but then I was like, you know what? I think I might like this too. And I did. It didn't feel like there was a whole lot to get into just yet, but from what I did play of it, I really liked it. How about you?
Yeah, there's so many different roguelikes now, deck building roguelikes or whatever you want to call it. And a lot of them are kind of samey. Not that I'm not going to play it anyway, because I love that type of game. Yeah. But when you start one, you're always like, okay, what's this one going to do differently? And this one, literally, it is playing into its name, one turn kill, because if you don't kill the enemy in one turn, you just die. You lose.
Yeah.
Like, in turn in this case means, end the game for yourself because it's over.
You know, what's interesting about that too, because I went for a drive today and I was actually thinking about this game as I was on my drive. And in that way, I was kind of thinking about it in that deck builder, if we're going to make a comparison, Slay the Spire kind of thing. But then I was just like, you know what, though? It's actually, in theory, very similar to something like Balatro in a way, too. Because it literally is just, your one turn you have to take out this enemy. Really, if you look at the enemy's HP as basically like the blind, that's essentially what you're doing, is you have to beat that new blind every single round. That's what it is. It's just a new enemy, a new scale of HP that you have to beat. And if you don't, then it's game over for that run.
As I think about it, I think as novel as the idea sounds, it's not that different from saying like, okay, instead of the enemy damaging me, I have to deal with like, I'm slowly damaging myself as I'm taking these turns. Yeah. So my health, quote unquote, is my energy count. And that's what I'm chipping away at as I choose which cards to use to most effectively take out this enemy without taking myself out. So it's sort of just a different way of kind of doing the same thing, but in an interesting way where you're not in direct opposition with the enemy. So you are in the same way of something like, I don't know, we'll compare it to Dice Folk, only because I love to compare things to Dice Folk, where it's like I'm choosing what the enemy does and I'm choosing what I do. But instead of me choosing what the enemy does, I am my own worst enemy here because I have to pick, like, I'm doing this much damage to myself essentially to hopefully damage the enemy for just as much. It's a different style of this type of game that I found very appealing, even though I didn't get to spend that much time with it because I played it kind of later in the week. I liked what I did play of it.
Yeah, I did too. Did you beat a run of it?
I did beat a run of it, but then it was like, it felt, that one was very short, and then it's like, okay, reset, and then the whole like story thing happens. So I don't know like what happens after that. I'm sure it extends the run, in a lot of different ways. But yeah, I beat the initial run of it.
Okay, yeah, I did the same. Yeah, I found that really interesting too. Like, obviously, there's like quite a bit of story to kind of unpack there that I'm really interested in, where it seems like basically you're this woman, and it's kind of like I don't know, like cyberpunkish, like Japanese cyberpunkish sort of
like samurai cyberpunk.
Yeah, sort of world, and like she's like talking to her sister remotely or virtually. And the sister will be like, "Hey, I'm was able to get into their database. You can infiltrate now." And then your character's sitting at this bonfire and is just like, "I could have sworn like I just did that. Like, was that a dream or what's going on?" But it's like, even if you die and get a game over, or if you complete the run like we did, that happens. And it's just like, oh, that's interesting. So there's like some sort of like loop or something that I think we're going to have to figure out and break. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's intriguing.
And I don't know what the meta progression looks like since we just played the demo of it. It didn't really give us too much of an idea of that, aside from getting additional cards to add to your deck.
Yeah.
And I think there's a limited amount you can have in there, so you can have to pick and
30,
choose
I
what you
think.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some interesting mechanics here. I don't ultimately know like how the like long version of the game is going to be, but I see like, even though, well, it says it came out in June 20. Oh, that's the demo came out in June 2025. Okay. Because I think that game just came out the day we were recording this, maybe? Or maybe
the full
was it
game came out
yesterday?
today. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, but the demo was reviewed very positively. So hopefully the full game plays out in the same way.
Yeah. I'm kind of hoping to see a little bit more card variation too. Like, I know that there's going to be like some unlockable stuff. I kind of hope that there's going to be a little bit more like pretty quickly as well, especially because they give you that idea of you can have 3 customizable decks that you can interchange when you do your runs. And I'm like, that's not going to be as interesting if there isn't, a big amount of cards to choose from. So I'm wondering if like we'll see different card types, because right now there's really just 2. You've got your red cards, which are kind of like damage cards, and there are a few different variations in there. And then you've got your blue cards, which are more like management cards, like they're either enhancing or changing something about the other cards you have, or they're helping you manage your hand by redrawing or getting rid of cards, things like that. I'm kind of interested to see if there's going to be any cards that are like there's like one card that does a little bit of stacking, but I'm wondering if there's going to be more like that. Just interested in seeing if there's going to be more synergies and stuff, because I could feel a little bit of that here, but I think that's something that could be pushed like way farther. And that's what would interest me the most, especially if there's going to be longer runs with enemies that have like astronomical health, which I think is what would make this game very fun and very intriguing. Is, okay, I've got like 1 turn to kill this boss, but this boss has like 1,000 health. How do I pull this off? And that's where like we need something with like lots of stacking and stuff and multipliers or something in there. So I'm hoping to see something like that.
Like I'm going to need some like times 999 damage so I can take out God at the end of this, or else I'm going to consider it a failure.
Robot God.
Or worse yet, like Big Thick Papa or something. Like I need to know.
He returns. Yeah.
I just need to know that I do have something to like strive towards. I don't know like how pocket size, like how small this game experience is. It's only like $7 or $8. So I'm sure it's not like a massive game, but I hope that there's at least enough for free to want to go back and to have some replayability, or at least some challenge modes or something to extend it a little further, like you were saying.
For sure. And yeah, it's really cool for what it is already, but yeah, I do want to see more out of it, and I hope so. I didn't mention this at the top, but developed by Den Den, published by Waku Waku Games, which sounds like I don't know, it would be if Pac-Man ever created his own publisher, it'd be Waka Waka Waka.
Yeah, like if cool. Pac-Man and Fozzie Bear kind of did a crossover game.
That's great. I love that. That's good, man. Good joke, dude. Good joke.
I don't know. Average at best.
You want to talk about, how do you pronounce this one? Neuroxus? Is it Neuroxus?
I think just Neuroxus.
Neuroxus. Yeah. Tell me about Neuroxus.
So the spelling is Neuroxus.
So like
all
neuro,
caps.
And then
Neuro and Zus. Yeah. So this one is like an Armored Core looking mech game, but it is an action, like fast paced third person shooter. And I was drawn to the style of it, but after playing the demo, I don't know how I feel about it ultimately. I'm not sure if the demo was just kind of like didn't really give you a good onboarding, and maybe the game does. There were some tutorials that popped up, but they were like very lengthy blocks of text in like 3 different parts, and they weren't telling me the things that I needed to know, like which button do I push to do these things, because it's shoot a missile at this big red thing and that will then shut down this core, and then another window on the same thing is just like, and when you shut down the core, now you're able to do this thing with this and this and this and this and this and this. And then another window is like, and once you do this and this and this, then you can finally open the gate to do this and this and move forward. It's like, oh, cool, just tell me, like, blow this thing up to open the gate. But how do I do that? Like with missiles, what button is missiles? There was no sort of like onboarding in that way. And there was a bunch of different things on my mini map that I didn't even notice at first because it doesn't call them out to you until I started looking at the mini map. I'm like, okay, like let me go explore and see what that thing is. There were like, some of them were like energy that I could get, or shielding, or more ammo, which you will need, or else you'll have to rely on just your like melee weapon. And that's where it would be nice if those things sort of like shone in some kind of way, or had some kind of like glow to them, so I could see them from afar instead of having to look at my minimap and be like, oh, where is one of these? And like hunt down as I'm kind of in mid battle. And then, so past all that, once I figured out like how to play the game, which took a little bit, I was like, okay, am I having fun with this? And I would say like it was decent. Like I had a decent time with it, because as you're going through, like you have this giant like reticle in front of you, and as long as the enemy is inside of that, then your shots will like kind of home on them and start shooting at them. But then there are some enemies with shielding, and it's like, okay, is this a red shield or a white shield? The white shields I can break with my melee weapon, and then I can start attacking them with the other weapon. So there's a lot that I had to kind of sit and think about, but nothing that made it like so challenging that I got killed very much, because a lot of it just felt like kind of being poked at by like needles here and there.
Yeah.
Like nothing was super threatening up until I reached like the boss area. And even that, I think, only took me like 2 tries. But it felt like it just felt kind of hollow in that sense. Maybe if I were just like more adapted to the game itself and like what they were wanting me, how they were wanting me to play it, like I think maybe it would have been more comfortable. So I'm not trying to give this a negative review at all. I'm just left feeling a little indifferent towards it because I wasn't sure how I felt about it at the end. I played through the demo. I didn't really have a desire to play it again or try a different like thing out to see if there were more to it, because it took me longer than I thought it would, just because of the length of the thing. And all the rooms started to feel kind of samey as I was going through them. And that could have just been part of the RNG of it. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is one where I can't give like a high recommend, because I don't really know even how I feel about it. But I would say try out the demo. If you like these like fast-paced actiony games, it may scratch an itch for you. But even as someone who does myself, like I wasn't really feeling it with this game yet. But I might, give it some more time, give the demo some more time, at least to see if like, okay, well, let me sit with this for a little bit longer, see how I feel, and then that will make me decide if I'm gonna like end up purchasing it or not. But yeah, so Neuroxus, I'm kind of neutral towards it right now, honestly.
Sure. Can I just ask real quick, like, how did the controls feel as far as like the movement and everything? Because it does, like, it looks pretty fast paced. So I'm just wondering, how tight it felt.
I think it looks faster than it is, like, while you're playing. Sure. And they might have even like fast forwarded some of the screenshots to make it look faster.
Oh man, yeah.
I don't know, like that's true, but it just, to me, it's like movement felt kind of normal. The shooting and stuff, like that's pretty rapid, but not so much where you're not able to kind of like, I don't know, see if there is like a sniper aiming at you and try to take him out before he ultimately gets you. But as you're moving around, it feels pretty good. And you also have like a hover thing where you have to actually jump up and attack some of these like pillars. Sometimes it open gates. So it's not just you jumping just to dodge and stuff. There was some like mechanical like reasoning to it to have you flying around and jumping. So yeah, like it felt good for what it was. But I think there are obviously like some mech games I've played that have felt better. But again, I was so early on in this, I'm not really sure what the like full package is going to look like. So I don't know. Like if you're a big fan of like quick action mech games, like try out the demo for sure, because like you may just have a different experience than I had. Sure. I will just say, like, they're not going to onboard you well. So be ready for that. Be ready to learn as you're going.
I'm never a fan of text for onboarding and stuff. That's one of the things I didn't care for about the Fortress when we played, that one, the very first one we talked about today, the wall of text to read. Like, I don't like that. I definitely prefer learning by doing. I think one of the best, at least for an action game, one of the best onboardings I feel like I've experienced in the last several years, and this is not an indie game, but Helldivers 2. I think that had one of the best onboarding experiences ever. Just felt really good. Like you're doing everything. You're not having to read stuff. I mean, it will pop up some text and stuff just to kind of reiterate what you're being told, but you're actually doing all of the actions. So yeah. It felt
I think
smooth.
That's really the best kind of setup. And that makes me go back to like Mega Man X for the Super Nintendo, because I remember loving how that game onboards you, because it puts you right in the action and everything you're learning is tactical and necessary to get through that first area. So you are literally learning as you go without text blocks or anything. You're just having to kind of like, I don't remember if they even give you like prompts to what button does what, or if you're just like having to experiment and you just figure it out as you go. But I just remember always appreciating the onboarding of that game, so much so that it still comes to mind now, like all these years later.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, that's like where I think the most powerful way of doing is setting up a starting area that makes you do all of those things, even if it's in a small way, so that you know what you can do and that what you will need to do like much more in the future. Like even if they just have like one button, they don't even have to say what it does. Just like tell me A and I'll push it. Oh, I see I'm jumping. Okay, I have to jump to like overcome this hurdle. Or like A twice. Okay, I can double jump. Things like that where it's like it makes it obvious without overloading you with text or anything.
There's a game, and I wish I could remember the name of it because I can't, but I know it's an FPS, and I know it's I think supposed to be kind of like weird and futuristic looking, and like I think it's supposed to be somewhat of a Doom clone thing, but like really goofy and over the top. And I remember in the onboarding there's like a voice talking to you. I honestly do think it's voiced by that POS that used to voice Rick and Morty and thankfully has lost his job. But I think he's Roiland, Justin Roiland.
Yeah, Justin Roiland.
But like I think he's the narrator, like talking to you through stuff, and then he'll be like, "Oh, do this thing," and then it automatically gets you killed, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry." Yeah, don't do that. And I just always thought that was really funny that like they messed with you during the onboarding process, and like,
yeah,
that's something that like I'll never forget, even if I don't even remember the name of the game, but I do remember that, and that was fun.
Yeah. All those like first time experiences, like they're always gonna like stick to your mind or stick in your mind for some reason.
I want to say it was like Mad Jack something. I might be wrong.
Is a game, I think.
I don't know if that was it, but it could have been. I don't know.
Mullet Magic? Is that the one you're talking about?
It could have been that one. No, I don't think it was that one. I think I'm confusing the name of that with a similar one, but I don't know. Someone probably knows. So if you do know, throw us a comment and remind me what it was so I can send Joseph a video so he can see it. Let's move on to our next game here, which is Tabulo, which is a game that I kind of wish that I had told you about this one, because I kind of wish now that you had played it. So I don't know, maybe you will.
Yeah, this is one that I did not play, but I remember seeing a video of it or something where they were describing it as like Balatro chess.
Yeah, this literally, like even in the description, like on the Steam page, it says Balatro inspired chess roguelike.
Oh, okay.
So, and like, here's the thing though, and like, I don't want to exclusively point the finger at this dev, but like, you know, in general, how loosely are we going to use inspired by for some things? Like when I see the UI is 100% the exact same as Balatro, can we still say inspired by, you know? I mean, it's still an inspiration, I guess, but like the UI, the buttons, the font are all the exact same. But
yeah, as I'm looking at it, I can see that.
Yeah, right?
This
even the tooltips.
It feels like a separate mode in Balatro.
Exactly, it does. So I'm like, I think it's, sure, inspired by it, but ooh, that's pushing it. That's pushing it a bit, I think. But
yeah.
this is a really interesting game, though. I wasn't sure what to expect, really, because I didn't look at any of the trailers. I really just saw like the description. I saw a screenshot and was like, all right, let's give it a try. So how you're scoring and stuff is about how you have like what chess pieces you have on the board and how those are arranged. If you're familiar with the game of chess and you know like how certain pieces can move, if you have your pieces in sync with each other, like the knight and like, let's say where that knight can land, if one of your other pieces is in one of those slots where that knight can land, then what happens is like that knight is going to basically become like more of a multiplier for that pawn. And it's interesting in that way where like it really depends on the arrangement of everything. Then you get into the idea of there's different like types of these things, like different materials, like emerald pawns or emerald pieces and stuff might be worth so many points, and emerald tiles or gold tiles, which you can like change some of the tiles on the board. Then there are these like bigger tiles that you can purchase, and those are essentially like the jokers, right? These are the things that like really exponentially change the rules of your run and everything, and really create crazy builds where you're ramping up all kinds of things and will make every run vastly different. The challenge with this is because like your score depends on like how your things are arranged. When you put those tiles down, those tiles are taking space up on your chessboard. So if like the more tiles you have, yes, you could be like super powerful, but you have less room to work with. And sometimes when you go up against like, let's say like the boss blinds or something, just like in Balatro, it might have a thing like, oh, it's going to disable these 3 rows. And that might be a case of, oh man, that's like the only areas I can put any of my dudes because I have so many freaking tiles out here. I got to rearrange everything and see if there's any way I can make this work. So it really is a bit of a thinker in that way, and quite a bit more of like a puzzle than, let's say, like Balatro is. It's different enough as far as that goes. It was really fascinating. I actually really, really enjoyed this one. I think this is one that I would like honestly like to put more time into, especially on my Steam Deck or something. Like that's how I played it and how I'd really like to do it. Though I wish there was better controller support. It's another one that like you got to use the trackpad for it. But I mean, I think Balatro is the same though, so it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
So
I haven't played Balatro in so long. I don't even remember if it was controller friendly.
Yeah, but yeah, I honestly had a really good time with it. I think it's very, very clever. So kudos to Noah Games who developed and published. My only advice though is like, man, be careful with just how inspired you get with like the UI and stuff. Woo.
Yeah, even the name of it is like kind of close.
Yeah, I like it's I think it's different enough that like I'm not worried for him. He'll be fine. Personally, if it was me, I would be sweating just a little bit because I'm a nervous guy. So I would be too nervous to do it.
This is one that I'm gonna put the demo in my library right now because I am curious about it.
Yeah.
As I saw it, I was like, I don't understand what's happening, but the way you were describing it kind of makes sense where it's like the piece that you put in the path of your other piece, that's what like decides like how the multipliers are going to work, at least on the piece by piece level. And then as you put the tiles out, that's what rapidly changes like the way the game works in the same way that jokers do. That makes sense to me. Does it give you like a description of what these tiles do?
Yeah, so all the tiles will have different things for them. Like each tile is special, just like a joker, and it will explain all the things, and each one of them is completely unique. Like there's like a vampire one that's like all of the dark squares will be +2 to your score. So it's like, you know, any pawn, or I keep saying pawn, but that's what you start with is just pawns. Like any, you know, piece that's on a dark square then will get +2 added to their score before like a multiplier kicks in. So it's like, oh, okay, so that's cool. And then like I got one that's just like if it has like 3 neighbors, which means like 4 in a row or something, then it would be like get plus so much to it or times so much to it and different things like that. So it's honestly, it works just like the Jokers do.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to try this out tonight, actually, like after we stop recording. Because, yeah, super curious about it. And I do like chess just as a game, and I like Balatro. So having a mix of both should be good.
Hell yeah. Did you want to talk about Pipistrello and the cursed yo-yo?
Yeah. You might actually have more to say about it than I do because I didn't play.
I talked about it a while back, but
yeah,
like,
I'll start talking about it, but you can fill in some blanks for me because I started playing it and I got through to where I guess like the actual roguelike portion opens up. Like you're going through the intro, you're learning the mechanics. I like how the yo-yo, at least the base level yo-yo works, and where as you hit a corner, that's where it starts to do the loop around.
Yeah,
and that
cool.
makes for some really interesting kind of gameplay choices and strategy, and then also being able to throw your yo-yo, which is like one of your starting abilities. If you were to like tell me straight up this isn't a roguelike, if I didn't already know it was, at least by description, then I would think like, oh, it's a pretty straightforward game because the way the intro plays out, like you are just playing it like a regular kind of action RPG.
I don't think it's a roguelike, is it? I didn't think it was.
I think it is.
I don't think so. It's a Metroidvania, though. I know
Metroidvania. Okay. Why was I thinking roguelike? I don't know. Something made me think roguelike for it. But okay, so yeah. So I got to the area then that I'm going to start. I'm supposed to go out and start exploring now.
Like in the
town? Yeah, because
Yeah.
I got to my like home base portion.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought like maybe it was a roguelike because I was thinking, okay, this is where I'm going to return when I die kind of deal.
Got it.
Yeah, so Metroidvania, that makes sense. And I enjoyed what I have played so far. It was only like maybe 30 minutes or so of it, but that got me enough of an idea of like how the general gameplay flow goes. And the story of it's really fun.
It's funny.
Where my yo-yo was cursed by these, well, 1/5 of the soul of my aunt.
Yeah.
For reasons that you'll learn as you start playing it. And so she now possessing that yo-yo, at least 1/5 of her, is helping me get through this to recover the other 4 portions of her soul from rival crime bosses. And it's like a really interesting setup. And I like the Pipistrello character, like the main character, like his attitude towards the whole thing is like, this doesn't sound like something I want to be a part of. And she's like, no, like you have to, or I'm going to stop funding your yo-yo adventures. Because he's like a self-proclaimed like yo-yo champion. Like he competes in the nationals and stuff.
Even though
he
was
hasn't
like
won.
Terrible.
Yeah, he was like 314th place or something in nationals, but he's like, he keeps going and trying that. So that's like his passion. That's all he wants to do, not save his aunt's life until she threatens to cut him off from his funding, because she is the owner of like an electricity corporation that kind of rules over this town. So it's the other rival crime bosses who are coming to dethrone her. And in trying to steal her soul, they trap part of it in that yo-yo and thus sets off the adventure. So that's as far as I am. I don't know like where it's going to go from there, but it has gotten overwhelmingly positive reviews. And I believe that just from the start of it, like it's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah, man. I'm so glad that you're playing it. That's about as far as like I think I got when I first started playing it too, and then fell off just because of the time of putting in the show and stuff. So one that I definitely want to go back to as well. But yeah, it is so fun. It's so funny. It's got so much personality to it. And it just has that big adventure feel to it. Like the old like kind of SNES and Game Boy Advance style games had. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it's got that adventurous style to it, and also, but with a reluctant hero who doesn't want to adventure. So I think there's going to be some really good humor like tied into it, which is going to make it a fun ride too.
Yeah, big time.
Final round.
All right, we're going to start our final lightning round, and we are going to actually talk about, if you're game for it, I wanted to talk about just some of the games that we're looking forward to in 2026. Not necessarily games that are coming up like imminently, but games that are announced or should be coming out this year, or we're just hoping are coming out this year. I've got like 5 real quick. I'll kind of blast through and see if any of these are also on your kind of radar as well, and then see what you've got in addition. The first one I wanted to bring up is Screenbound, which was one that I told you personally about, like off podcast. This is a game where you are like adventuring out in the world and stuff, like doing platforms and stuff, but like you have like almost like a Game Boy Color in front of your face. So like you're really controlling it from the Game Boy Color, but you're seeing everything actually happen in real time, like around you as well, like outside of that. And it just looks so cool and just so novel. I'm just
such an interesting idea.
Yeah, I'm really, really just kind of enthused by this thing. And like I love the art direction for this as well too. Just looks really, really cool.
I'm sold on the visuals alone or just the stylization of it. Like I'm just curious to see like how it actually plays. It looks like it could be like an actual good game behind just the visual of it. So I'm with you there.
So cool, like doing a 2D platformer and 3D platformer literally at the exact same time. So
but it's like
insane.
So I just have questions like how that would actually feel. Like, am I just controlling the 2D part, or do I need to be concerned about my left and right also? Yeah, that's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. My next one my next one's Golf with Your Friends 2. Basically just because I loved Golf with Your Friends. That was a game you and I played together so many times.
Yes, that was the good golf game we played.
Yes, it is like one of the best mini golf games I've ever played in my life. Maybe the best. So the sequel looks so much bigger, and I am just seriously looking forward to it. And also, it looks like it has a 12-player mode, which is, I can't even imagine. You could get like an entire huge group playing this game, and I just can't imagine how fun that would be.
If we were still streaming, then this would be one to like have our like viewers on with too.
Hey, never say never. It might happen again. We'll see. Hey, if you want us to, tell us.
Please.
But you got to make sure you show up so we don't look like chumps. But very much looking forward to that. I can't wait to play some more of that.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was coming out this year. That's cool. I'm in.
Yeah. My next one is Mixtape. This is like a big kind of like artsy sort of Life is Strangey kind of game. But like it looks amazing. Like this game looks like the kind of animation from like Into the Spider-Verse, and I am so here for it. Plus it's got an amazing soundtrack. I think it's really going to be like this big coming of age kind of story, teen rebellion kind of stuff, like the kind of kids that me and you were when we were that age, I think. But it just looks huge as far as like story and the artwork of everything. And I have been waiting for this for like a year, and I really hope it comes out soon. So
yeah, the visuals also kind of give me like a little bit of like a Wes Anderson movie feel.
Yeah,
like
more stylized.
Yeah, leaning more towards the Spider-Verse that you were saying. But I don't know. That's just what I was thinking when I was first looking at it.
It has like I was seeing like all the artists that have songs in it, including Stan Bush. You got the touch.
Nice.
I'm like, oh, please let it be that song, please. That would be so good. Oh my God.
Smashing Pumpkins even.
Yeah, Susie and the Banshees. Oh man, it's going to be so good.
Okay,
so good.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome from a narrative perspective for sure, and musical.
Yeah. The next one is Servant of the Lake. I think I've talked about this one a little bit before. It's part of the Rusty Lake series. This is their latest game. In fact, I know I brought this up before, so I won't dwell on it. It's another point and click mystery game that feels extremely David Lynchian in a lot of aspects, and I love this series. I love this developer. I can't wait for the next game. It's like the 17th or 18th game they've put out, I think. So, crazy. The last one that I'm going to mention is Wild Blue Skies. And I know I talked about this like probably months and months ago when I found out about it.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, this is the one that is basically just feels like
Tailspin Star Fox.
Yeah, it's the modern kind of Star Fox sort of game. And I think it was developed, like the main developer was someone that worked on the original Star Fox. So makes a whole lot of sense. It looks so much the part. I mean, everything. It's got, your team of like 4 anthropomorphic characters. You've got your ship that looks a lot like kind of like the X-Wing sort of thing. How you lock on to enemies and stuff, like your retcon looks very similar. The levels look amazing. I can see there's a lot of like cell shading and stuff.
It's the same sort of on-rails shooter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. It's the same kind of gameplay. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm so excited for this one.
Yeah, I remember you bringing it up, and of course, I'm definitely going to play this one.
Hell yeah.
As a longtime fan of older Star Fox games, this looks right up my alley.
Yes. What about you? What are you looking forward to?
Ooh, so there are some... Okay, well, I'll just start from the top. Slay the Spire 2, of course, but then I found out that when it came out, or when it comes out, it's going to be early access, so I'm less enthralled by that, because they didn't say that directly on their Steam page. It was in like the release notes or the pre-release notes or whatever, where it's like, only a couple months before we release an early access. I'm like, oh man, no, too early for me. So I say that only to say that like, I am still looking forward to that game, but it's probably not going to actually come out in 1.0 until next year, assuming early access comes out this year, which is disappointing for me personally, but I know some people are still going to jump on this and play the crap out of it. And that's great.
There's a lot of games, specifically like this month and next month coming out, that are all coming to early access that I was like really excited for. And I'm like, I just want the full release. Come on.
I know. Yeah. Okay. So the next one that is not Slay the Spire that I think is not early access is going to be Mina the Hollower, which is the Yacht Club game. It was supposed to come out last year. It got pushed.
It was supposed to come out on Halloween.
Yeah. And so this is the one that feels like it's been kind of pushed. So I'm hoping it comes out this year. And yeah, it's the Shovel Knight creators, like their new kind of like Game Boy Color aesthetic, like Zelda, Castlevania vibes to it. And you're just a cute mouse, like going through and doing all the adventuring things. Looks fun, and I trust that developer. So yeah, that's one I have been wanting to play and still do. So hopefully it comes out this year.
Yeah, I got to play a little bit of the demo when that was available, and it was very cool. It was very fun. It was difficult, but it was fun.
Yeah, I didn't even get to touch the demo, so I would be going in completely blind. So I'm just looking forward to it purely on like blind faith.
Yeah.
The next one I want to talk about is Replaced, where you are an AI trapped in a human body, and you're in sort of like a alternate 1980s cyberpunk or dark cyberpunk post-apocalyptic kind of thing. Yeah. And this one's just like a 2D platformer. I'm assuming there's like action combat in it as well. Like it just visually looks really cool to me. I don't know a ton about it, and I really just learned about it like today, so I don't have like too much like invested into it, but it's one stylistically that just has beautiful visuals to it, that like pixelated graphics, but it's like the HD 2D kind of feel, but also like more advanced than that. So I don't know. I'm bad at describing what it looks like, but just like check out Replaced and you'll see what I mean. And you'll probably want to play it too.
Yeah, it's that 2.5D kind of style, but this has like way more depth to it than almost any of those games that you've ever seen before. Plus way more detail than I think I've ever seen a game like that. So
yeah, the backgrounds are like super detailed, and it just looks really like it's got that feel to it of like you can just feel the movement and all the actions these characters are taking.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, just the visuals drew me to it. Is the gameplay going to be good? I hope so. But yeah, that's why I'm going to like keep an eye on this at least.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
The next one I want to talk about is Valor Mortis. This one, yeah. So this one, as far as I understand, you are like part of Napoleon's army who died on the battlefield. You're resurrected as like a zombie with like some sort of supernatural powers. So it's like a weird kind of supernatural, like
supernatural
zombie
Napoleon.
kind of Souls-like RPG in that sort of French battlefield kind of setting.
Dark Souls, but Napoleon is what you're trying to tell
Napoleon
me.
Dark Souls, and even like with some like monstrous mutations and things. So I don't know what happened to this world or why everything got all like messed up, but I can see visuals of like a dude with like a cannon attached to his head.
Yeah, this
and
trailer is crazy.
It looks so weird. So just purely off the oddness of it. And like it looks really good too. Like the visuals look great, like very crisp, very like detailed. And just the strange idea drew me to it. And I think if the combat's as good as it looks like it is, then, I'm completely in as a big fan of Souls-like games.
It does look like a very Joseph coded game for sure. There's one screenshot, and I'm like, if that is Napoleon right there, at least he finally got tall. He's just a giant hulking mutant now with like arms carrying muskets growing out of his back.
Yeah.
It's so
3
gross.
muskets. He's got like corpses hanging from his legs.
He's got
a giant like flaming arm. Yeah.
This is crazy.
So it's weird Napoleon Souls like. It's crazy looking, but yeah, I've got my eyes on it for sure. Coming out sometime this year.
Yeah. I love that.
One that's coming out very soon, actually next week, I think as of this recording, is Cult of the Lamb Woolhaven. The expansion for Cult of the Lamb. Everybody knows about Cult of the Lamb, but yeah, this is an expansion that's supposed to be maybe even bigger than the base game itself. So very excited for that because it's almost like not a part 2, but a large enough expansion that it's going to feel like a brand new game to me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's going to be
very
great.
much looking forward to it.
Yeah. You and Callie going to jump right into that?
I think she's already like playing through the story again. Like she was fighting the last boss today in preparation. So I know she's going to be right in it. And yeah, I'm going to have to start over from the beginning to remember how to play, but it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. The gameplay of that is just so smooth. It feels great.
And there's been like huge improvement since the first time I played it, supposedly. So it's like, oh, cool. I liked it the first time I played it. So it's even better now.
Yeah.
That's great. So yeah, that one. The last one I want to mention is one that I don't know if it has like an exact release date yet, but I know it's this year, is Mugenics.
Oh,
that one. Oh, actually, it's coming out in February. Cool, like early February. So this is the one by Edmund Macmillan, the creator of Binding of Isaac.
Yeah.
He's been working on supposedly like since he was like started making Binding of Isaac or at the same time or something. And it's like a more tactical, like a turn-based tactics game where you are like weird mutated cats who are breeding more weird mutated cats, and like that's how you're keeping like your like party going, because it's a roguelike game where you're trying to get further and further each run, and it's just got such a weird look to it. Binding of Isaac, of course, like all-time classic. So another game by the same creator. This is one that a lot of people have been looking forward to, and myself included. So I'm glad it's finally coming out. Very much looking forward to playing it.
I follow his updates a lot on social media, like on TikTok and stuff. He's very, very open to answering questions and everything. And it's just very fun to see all of the thought process that's gone through all of this stuff. And a lot of the, like, he gets a lot of comparison questions between this and Binding of Isaac and stuff. And it's just kind of really interesting to see where his head is at with some of this stuff. As an indie game dev, that is probably one of the most famous indie game devs, and probably one of the indie game devs to make indie games what they are today. Like, he is a guy that is like, someone that really helped to establish a foot in the door for everybody else with the success of like his other stuff like Super Meat Boy and Binding of Isaac. So it's fascinating. I really, really enjoy him as a person, as a developer. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this goes.
Yeah, same. So yeah, those are the games that are at least on my immediate radar. I'm sure there's going to be some that come out every single week this year, just like last year, that surprise me every week and force me to spend a ton of money on video games, hopefully most of which I'll get to actually play.
Yeah, man. Of course, that's the that's the curse. That's the curse. At least every once in a while, some devs will send their keys our way, which is always very helpful.
So great.
And helps us with reviewing your games too. So appreciate that.
Helps me afford living and playing games at the same time.
Exactly. The other thing that would help too is send us money so we can survive as we do this.
Oh yeah, that's what Patreon's for, I guess.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that.
Game over.
If you had a good time listening to this episode, stick around. Listen to the bumper, which will tell you how you can support us and all of the things that we do here at Nerd Sloth Creative. You can also check the show notes for our link tree, which will take you to our social media, Discord, merch store, and all the other cool stuff, including that Patreon Joseph was so apt to point out. But get in touch with us and let us know what indie games you have been playing and help us elevate these games so we can help support indie game devs. But that's game over for us. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Nerd Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth for indie game let's plays and recommendations. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/nerdsloth, where you can select a pledge and receive access to hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything at Nerd Sloth Creative. If you're an indie game developer and would like us to review your game or explore other opportunities, send an email to nerdslothcreative@gmail.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade. Thanks for listening, and keep supporting indie game devs.